Everybody, welcome back to Health IQ. I'm Rashad Milligan for rolling out. Today, we are joined by a very, very special guest from the Atlanta chapter of the NAACP. We have Mr. Richard Rose. Richard, how are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm great, man. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. The honor is ours. The honor is ours. And tonight, we're having such a pivotal and important discussion on Health IQ. We're talking about trusted voices, who to trust and who can't you trust. So often in the times of the Black community, especially dealing with the American government, there's been, just a kind of a lots of historical evidence valid reason for people not to trust the government. But with this thing that we have called the COVID-19 pandemic that's going on right now with the vaccines, people are still having trouble. Should I trust it? Should I not? 2 years into it, 1 year after it's been available to a lot of people on a public scale, they're still not trusting it. Richard, I just want to ask you first things first. What is the importance of trusting the government in this particular case?
Well, I try to separate the government, meaning bureaucrats, from the science. And so the CDC is a agency of the government, but it has a history of sometimes disagreeing with the political side of the government. And so we know vaccines are nothing new. Measles, rubella, smallpox, polio. As a child, when I was a child, polio was they had a new vaccine. And so they brought it to our schools. We took it on a sugar cube, put it on our tongues, and we I think it was 2 or 3 doses. And so, we trusted the vaccine because it was being given to everybody. And which is the case now. This is a vaccine that's available for everybody. And then we know, for example, that Black scientists have had a great role in developing this vaccine. Kizzy Corbett, Dr. She was on the mRNA side of this vaccine. So I think there are a lot of reasons. We know that in the past, distrustful things that have been done by government agencies, which are far separated from Washington, D.C. The Tuskegee experiment, for example, it started out to see, hey, what is this disease called syphilis, which is sexually transmitted disease? How does this affect people who have it? Because when they first started the experiment, there was no vaccine to cure syphilis. About 12 or 14 years into the program, it was discovered that penicillin could knock it out. And so the untreated and infected patients in this study were still not given this vaccine. This happened deep in Alabama, in Tuskegee, out of that hospital. And so it was a tragedy and a travesty, absolutely. But this is not the Tuskegee experiment.
Right. And, like I said, once again, our topic for the night are vaccination experiences and our cultural understanding of the healthcare system, which you touched on a lot in that opening response. But I just wanted to ask you, what is the general role of vaccinations in the community?
So it is a health concern to guard against highly communicable diseases that can have lasting or permanent damages or effects on our health.
Okay, all right. Well, freaking and simple and easy, it's just something that can help us, it sounds like. But I guess, how did you feel when there was no vaccine versus today where there is a vaccine for COVID-19?
Personally, there was a lot of trepidation because I've lived with asthma since I had the measles as a child, before there was a vaccine. And so this COVID infection it attacks the lungs, it attacks the breathing apparatus. So I was just very much concerned. I wore a mask everywhere. I distanced, I washed my hands a lot. I kind of stayed away because I wanted to stay healthy. Because if I can't be healthy, I can't do this work we do for the NAACP. And so, it was that was 2020. We had big elections across the country. We were leading a get out the vote effort across the state of Georgia, and I needed to be in the fight. And so I was listening to the science. I listened to the science, and the sciences are those nerds that we knew in high school and college that didn't go to parties, you know, they weren't at the football games. They were more serious about, you know, their studies than a lot of us. And so I knew some nerds, you know, and so I knew they were serious about what they were doing, and I listened to them. Listen to the nerds.
Salute to all the nerds saving lives out here in 2022. But I guess, you know, what information helped you decide whether or not to get vaccinated this go round?
Well, I listened. I read I read the reports on CDC.gov. I listened to, and actually, our program director at Atlanta NAACP has a niece who has a PhD in the infectious disease science. And so, you know, I had that additional information, but I also talked to my own physician, my family physician. And so, you know, we had these discussions, and I've done that in the past about various things, you know, what's going on. I'm concerned about, you know, stuff like high blood pressure, which runs rampant through the Black community, and other problems. And I have allergies, you know, not only pollen allergies, but also peanuts. I can't eat peanuts. I can't eat pine nuts. MSG knocks me out as if I've been drinking. So you know, I know the effect of certain things, and it differs from person to person. So yeah, there are some people that have, when I got the vaccine, I've had the booster. Other people had effects that I didn't have. So other people's arms were sore, mine wasn't. But I understand that is a difference from person to person.
Right. And the interesting thing that you said there is you read the CDC website. I think a lot of people, if they don't read the CDC website, if they just kind of go off of what they've heard, and then, you know, they know CDC is a government organization. They're like, the government's out to get me. It all falls on. But if you read it, it's not just all positive. They say a lot of the, you know, kind of potentially bad things that happen in there. And I feel like it gives you a little more validity if you actually went to the website, CDC, and did the research yourself. But you know how that goes today's.
Yeah. Well, you know, this is the thing. That is, when I was in college at Clark Atlanta, I was Clark College at the time. Research-wise, we had to go to the library and go to the Dewey Decimal System, and, you know, dig and get in the stacks and find these books and references. Now everybody has a cell phone. Everybody can get to Google or Yahoo. Everybody has a library right at their fingertips. And so it's easy for people to check these things. And, you know, as a CPA, I do tax returns. And I tell some new clients sometimes, I said, do not get your tax advice from the barbershop. You have to go to where a real source is.
I think a lot of people definitely learned that during the pandemic too, with the all the PPP loans and government assistance. They listened to Joe Blow. Joe Blow said, I could give me $1 million in 12 months. But I wanted to ask you, do you think that technology made people lazier with getting information, that they didn't have to go through all those steps and they relied too much on it? Yeah,
I don't know. You know, I think people were relying on bad information before technology. And the thing about our current platforms is that anybody can post anything if they want to post it. And so there is a lot of misinformation. So you have to look at the source, for example. You know, there are news, for example. If you're looking at Fox News versus CNN, you know, you got a different story about the same thing. If you look at Newsmax versus Newsweek, you know, there are differences, and you have to consider the source of everything. And so again, you know, if you're looking for tax advice, you know, go to the American Society of CPAs. Don't go to Newsmax. You know, go to where there are experts and people have credibility, and they have credibility at risk if they say that, if they give you misinformation.
Right, 100%. And something that kind of goes underline of, going to people with credibility and determining the sources. How do you think just even the existence of COVID-19 and the vaccination, how do you think that has divided the country?
Well, unfortunately, our country is divided, period. I mean, the Civil War never ended in America. It changed. It changed from hostilities between two armies to a Cold War. And it's not about the party necessarily, but it's about different attitudes. Clearly, under the leadership of former President Trump, there was a lot of denial about it, and so even, he got the vaccine and didn't even tell his followers at first. And so that made it more political than it should have been, but that's where we live now.
Right. And I guess, kind of moving forward, just on a personal note for you, we're thinking about the mental aspect of it. Obviously, like you said, at the beginning of the pandemic, you took it extremely seriously, socially distanced, wash your hands multiple times, mask everywhere, every time you left the house. I want to know how that time of isolation and just, taking it, always being cognizant when you're out in public spaces, how did that affect your mental health?
Well, it probably didn't affect mine because I've been always technically observant. So we just shifted, we got new tools. Everybody can use Zoom now. And so it's about adjustments. It's about, as I said, I've been an asthmatic all my life, but I was able to be a big track guy in college. I was Calvin Clark College track team with asthma in a city that's high in pollen count. So you just adjust, that's how humans are able to, people live in Florida and they live in Canada and they live in Alaska, and there's adjustment there to what the environment is. And that's what I did, adjust to the environment.
I guess, you were talking about making adjustments and everything right there. How was COVID-19 kind of adjusted the way that you approach, the way that you take your personal health?
Well, it was a new disease that was affecting a lot of people. And I just had to shift. I had to shift a little bit, and I know some people who died. I know a lady, block and a half away from me. She was, her husband took her to Grady. They sent her home, and she died before she could get back. And I knew other people who had the disease. I knew another guy who died from natural causes, but the funeral home had so much other business, they couldn't pick his body up from his home for 2 days. So all of these things, came to me. I'm in the public, I get a lot of information. And so I probably am better equipped because I hear from common people about these issues versus listening to what's in the news and what people talk about that they don't know about. I get it firsthand, and so that helped me be more informed.
No, I definitely hear you on that. I know with me, kind of just even the simple concept of masks. Like, I feel like in crowded spaces, like it's something that we never thought of. Like if everyone wore a mask in crowded spaces, like you wouldn't get everybody's germs spat on you every time someone spoke. It's like something we didn't think about before, sanitizing your hands every time you touch a public rail, or, it's little things like that that made me adjust and like, okay, I should probably be looking at this. I wanted to ask you about kind of just moving on of like people that you said you taught to trusted people and, people that you can trust. Now, low, I don't want to, make fun of anybody's names, but we'll say the barbershop, anybody from the barbershop or anything like that. You have a circle, a built-in network over the years of trusted people. Who are 3 people in your trusted medical advisor network that you want to shout out right now?
Well, my primary position is really Morehouse Medical School. And so they give good information. Sometimes you can talk to a doctor, sometimes you talk to a physician assistant. At my age, I have a urologist. And so I listen to him. Men over 50, black men over 50 need urologists. And of course, I do not have high blood pressure, so I don't have those other issues. But on the medical side, I rely on those sources for a lot of things. And then again, I read. I was very much interested in this disease because it hit so quickly and people were actually dying and taking ill. I knew. I interviewed some people over at Willie Watkins Funeral Home. We know Willie Watkins is big, and one guy who was he was a combination musician, and he would pick up bodies. He contracted coronavirus from a body he had picked up. They were supposed to have covered the body to say, hey, this has a contagious disease. It was not. He was out of work for 1 year and 3 months. And so I get all of these. I consider myself in that respect lucky that I do have, sources of information that help me sort through this to see how serious this must be.
100%. And, shout out to Asia Dora as well, WNBA player, professional athlete who was out for 2 seasons dealing with COVID.
Right.
And also, I just wanted to catch up and say sorry for your losses with the pandemic and everything, people that you lost to the disease. Wrapping up now, I just wanted to ask you, why is social activism and health important?
It's important because we have to counter the much misinformation that people have and that they come up with, and sometimes people will create their own set of truths to back up a decision they've made, and that works in a lot of not only health, but a lot of the Confederate sympathizers claim, well, the Civil War was not about slavery. Well, in fact, it absolutely was about slavery. But they create this alternative reality. Alternative facts is what Kellyanne Conway said, but that's been around. People create this unreal, their own unreality in order to justify something. So somebody don't want to take the vaccine. They say, well, it's gonna make me grow through another set of years, And so we have to continue to speak the truth to power, to counter the misinformation. And so we think we have a trusted voice in Atlanta NAACP people. We've done the work. And so that's why, I'm willing to get out and talk about something that's really not in my wheelhouse. What's in my wheelhouse is voting rights, equal justice, education, and economic opportunity. But this is important.
How is this these next couple of weeks? I know I'm in a thing, where my father, not my father, my uncle is in the same line of work that you're in during the day and stuff. These couple of weeks are insane for him. The past month to now is insane. How are you dealing with that? Just overall, how are you dealing with that right now, this type of season?
Well, I've been doing it a long time. So I got a process, that we work with some longer hours. I get up a little early in the morning before the phone start ringing. I can get more work done. Just adjustment. I mean, humans, we have to adjust. And I think I've been able to do that over the years. At one point, I was a young CPA. I think April 15th was on a Monday. I worked all day Friday. I worked through Sunday. I didn't sleep. I worked all day Friday. I worked Saturday night, Sunday. I got about 3-4 hours sleep and went back to work Monday. And after 12 o'clock Monday night, I went to eat and fell asleep in a plate of spaghetti. So I said, I don't do this anymore.
and no longer, but you know, you were talking about that with being kind of health conscientious and stuff, especially through the pandemic. And you know, those are just some of the things that are very important to you. I wanted to ask, you know, just with Atlanta NAACP, what are some of the other work that you guys are really doing that you want to highlight right now that the people might not know about?
So we did again, we're getting ready for voter turnout. In 2020, Atlanta NAACP led a coalition of NAACP branches across the state in collaboration with other grassroots organizations. And I think that voter turnout helped to change America. You know, we elected 2 senators who were consistently voting against the interests of our community. We changed that. You know, I think former President Donald Trump has not gotten over the fact that he didn't win Georgia because we had the turnout that we did. We have our AXO program, work with high school students. It's competition. It's like Olympics of the mind. And so we have several gold medal winners this year that will be competing nationally for national prizes and scholarships. We're very proud of that. And we have an app called Black Friday 52, which is a vetted listing of Black-owned businesses. We're real proud of that.
Well, I mean, you definitely have to salute that, and you know, so people can see and figure out where they can go and support all of these Black businesses and stuff. I wanted to ask you, what is the most interesting, intriguing, maybe heated, whatever you want to go, conversation you've had about the vaccine pandemic?
Wow, I really had several, but one guy just said, well, I'm not taking the vaccine because you know what happened in Tuskegee. So I said, yeah, I do know what happened in Tuskegee. And then I went on to give him the whole story. And then he said, well, it's still a trick. I said, okay, logic doesn't help. And then another guy I ran into in my building, and he said he wasn't taking it. And he had COVID-19 infection, and he's still alive and so forth. And I said, but if you infect somebody else, they may not be as lucky as you. But he's, you know, just still, and it was kind of confounding and a little bit frustrating. But you know, I'm accustomed to people having, you know, making decisions and having beliefs that make a lot of logic to them, but none to me. So, you know, I just adjust to it. And of course, those people I try to stay away from.
Well, that was my next question. Is there a particular group of people like that are usually more receptive to the idea of vaccine?
You know, I don't know that. I think people who have more education are more receptive to vaccines. College educated people are more receptive. Young black men who don't have any college education have a feeling of immortality. They think they can handle anything, just bring it on and out, and I can handle it.
And our graduates of YouTube University.
Big part.
Graduates of YouTube University, you know, where they learn from YouTube.
Yeah, right. And so those are the ones that you know, I worry about. They are also the ones who have the lowest voter turnout of these racial or age demographics.
And do you think like maybe that particular demographic understood that, you know, Russia, part of kind of like the Russian collusion in 2016 was making videos of Colin Kaepernick and all of these things forming anti-voting agendas? Do you think they know that a lot of that came from Russia and stuff?
I don't think they do.
Well, Richard, is there anything else that you have before we close on, you know, I guess, closing arguments to someone who might have been on the fence about maybe they even got vaccinated, right? But now they're like, I don't know if I want the booster, and you know, second boosters are coming out now. I don't know if I want another booster. What is your closing argument to said person?
So one of the people I know who was infected was hospitalized along with his wife, was infected by his grandson who brought it home from work, and the two of them almost died. And so look beyond yourself. Think about, we are in an interconnected universe here. And so in things like communicable diseases, you may be infected, it never affects you. You may not even have the sniffles, but it could kill the next person. Think about the next person.
Well, Richard Rose of the Atlanta NAACP, we appreciate your time so much for Health IQ. Until next time, you all take care of yourself. I'm Rashad.